Hey, what's going on, Node Nation? It's CJ Wilson here with Dope Talk. Of course, I'm your host. Going to get into our last preseason positional breakdown as we go into fall camp. And of course, we're saving the best for last as we have my personal favorite on deck, and that is the defensive back position. Going to break it up into cornerbacks and the safeties, get all those guys jumped in together. First, we'll talk about the cornerbacks and jump right into it. But before we get started, make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Hit that like button. Like I said, it takes 2 seconds out of your time just to hit that like button. And join the Dope Talk community if you haven't subscribed already. It's going to be a pretty interesting season as far as content. So go ahead and join the Dope Talk community. Let's get it started. All right, we're going to go ahead and jump off with the first name, and that's Jeremiah Wilson, the transfer cornerback from Houston. This was probably the most important get for FSU in the spring transfer portal window, as Jeremiah was the top-ranked cornerback in the spring portal window, standing at 5'10", 185 pounds this past season at Houston. He had an 86.9 PFF grade, which is ranked fourth among which was ranked fourth among active P4 corners last year. It's P4 now instead of P5. I keep forgetting we got rid of the Pac-12. But yes, he had the fourth highest graded PFF grade per last season in regards to P4 corners. This past season at Houston, he had 24 tackles, 3.5 tackles for loss, 4 interceptions, and 4 pass breakups. He is originally from Kissimmee, Florida, signed with Syracuse out of high school and then to transfer to Houston and now to FSU. The reason I stated he signed to Syracuse out of high school, things kind of come in full circles, right? The person that recruited Jeremiah from Kissimmee to Syracuse, well, from Florida to Syracuse, rather, is Tony White, current FSU defensive coordinator. He was the defensive coordinator at Syracuse when Jeremiah Wilson was there. Of course, ended up taking the job at Nebraska. So to bring him back up, or to bring in a defensive back that's very familiar with his system. If you guys remember the last few years with Charles Kelly, our DB scheme was very simple. It was very simple. We pretty much played a variation of cover, pretty much man coverage. I don't want to get into the schematics of it, but pretty much just man coverage in regards to matching and things like that under not Charles Kelly, my apologies. Adam Fuller. Don't want to bring back the Charles Kelly days. Under Adam Fuller, my apologies. We pretty much ran man, and our defensive backs were just trained and well versed in man coverage. Now you bring in a Tony White who runs a multiple set of defense mixed with man coverage, zone pressures, and things like that. It's a different, from a defensive back standpoint, it's a difference in regards to playing man coverage all the time to transitioning to a zone type of scheme and then learning how to play zone. And man coverage is pretty much simple. You're locked in on your receiver, where you're playing off technique, jamming technique. You man turn and things like that. You're pretty much locked into that receiver. Within zone coverage, there's a difference between man turning and zone turning. When you're zone turning, just to give you guys a quick example, we won't jump into it too deeply. When you're zone turning, you're pretty much turning, if the receiver's over here and you have your quarterback over here, you're pretty much turning facing the quarterback when you're turning in and opening up and running. That so you have vision within the quarterback, have vision on whoever's coming within your zone, whether it's the running back, tight end, 2 or 3 receiver, and you still have vision on your 1 receiver. So pretty much you're looking at everything in zone coverage like this, right? In man coverage, you're pretty much singly faced upon, looking at that defensive, got my trash coming through on Thursday morning. But in man coverage, you're pretty much focused on that receiver. And instead of zone turning towards the quarterback, you're man turning and keep your eyes focused on that receiver, turning your back on the quarterback, because what the quarterback has going on doesn't matter. Your main focus is that receiver until he gets out of his route. Then you turn around and look for the ball. So that's a big difference in regards to a defensive back. And it's a lot more thinking as well, too, and being smarts and using your smarts in regards to zone coverage. That's when your instincts kind of come in. So a lot of our defensive backs kind of struggle a little bit with that transition. So bringing in a Jeremiah Wilson to fill that void at cornerback, he brings veteran experience, which we do lack within this cornerback room. Very talented, but not a lot of experience. He brings veteran experience, familiarity within the damn defense, and also he's a very good football player. So I'd like to get a Jeremiah Wilson. Moving on to the next defensive back we're going to discuss, Jabril Rawls, redshirt sophomore, 6'1", 185 pounds, out of the Pensacola area. This kid has a lot of potential. Defensive coordinator Tony White is very excited to work with Jamari Rawls. He made a lot of plays in the spring. He's a guy that he's just an athlete. He reads coverages pretty well. He breaks on the ball extremely well, contests the ball, can make highlight type of catches. This is one of the Pat Surtain effect in regards to once Pat Surtain got to FSU, the type of defensive backs he started recruiting and bringing in, and Jamari Rawls was one of the first defensive backs within his first class, if I'm not mistaken. They move over to Quindarrius Jones. These two corners, I feel like, will be battling for the opposite starting cornerback position with Jeremiah Smith. You're looking at Quindarrius. Quindarrius is a physical specimen, 6'2", 192 pounds, out of Mississippi. He is the prototypical NFL man type of corner when it comes to jamming and things like that. Now, it was a transition in spring practice for Q in regards to, like I said, coming from man base and things like that and playing man coverage to being off a little bit, thinking a little bit more, playing zone coverage. It was a little bit of a struggle, but I do think the summer workouts and leading to fall camp, it'll be perfectly fine. But from a physical standpoint, it doesn't get any better than Quindarrius Jones, man. He definitely looks the part. Big time playmaker. All right, this next group of cornerbacks I'm going to discuss was a highly touted recruiting class of cornerbacks that came in under Pat Surtain. I want to say it's the 2024 recruiting cycle. Yeah, the 2024 recruiting cycle. Really exciting class in regards to what we brought in. All of those kids redshirted, which I love, had time to develop. Now they have 4 years left to play. Now it's time for these guys to kind of show their own, right? Make some plays for FSU and become a staple within the rotation. We only have 3 corners, in my opinion, that could be possibly battling for the starter position. Now, one of these younger guys come in and just wreck shop within camp. That's a different story. But I do believe these 4 guys will be battling for ample playing time and key backup spots within the FSU defense. And the top 4, the top 5 cornerbacks are very important because they play a lot of football. So these are the names we're going to go over. You got Charles Lester, Cai Bates, Jamari Howard, and Ricky Knight III. These 4 defensive backs were highly recruited. Charles Lester was a 5-star. Cai Bates and Jamari Howard like top 150 players, and Ricky Knight was a top 300 player within the state of Florida as far as being a 4-star defensive back. Charles Lester 6'1", Jamari Howard 6'2", Cai Bates 6'2", Ricky Knight 6 foot. Like I said, Pat Surtain definitely has a type, man. We have a lot of bigger bodies within the defensive back room. These 4 guys will be competing for a lot of playing time for FSU this upcoming season. So it's a very important fall camp for that group of defensive backs going into their redshirt freshman year. Now, we did bring in a few true freshman quarterbacks that will have their time, will have their say-so in regards to possible playing time for FSU and impressing the coaches. And the 3 freshman quarterbacks we did bring in, Antonio Cromartie Jr., as you guys know, his father was in a first-round NFL draft pick. Crow Jr. is from Carrollton, Georgia, ended up enrolling FSU within the summer. Zae Thomas, 6'3", 196-pound defensive back from American Heritage. He is the first true Seminole to be on full scholarship for FSU. He is from the Seminole tribe of Florida. Seminole heritage, has Seminole blood. He will be the first scholarship Seminole player, if I'm not mistaken. And Shamar Artnox, we got a late signing day flip from the Auburn Tigers for this defensive back from Carrollton, Georgia. He was teammates with Antonio Cromartie Jr., standing at 6'2", 189 pounds. 6'3", 6'2", 6 foot. Pat Surtain has a tight within the defensive back room, and I love it. Long defensive backs that can make plays on the ball. All right, moving on to the safety position. And this is going to be an interesting position for FSU within this defense, as it's a 3-3-5, and we have pretty much a 3 safety rotation in regards to what Tony White likes to do. You have your field safety, your boundary safety, and your kind of rover in the box a little bit type of safety that makes a lot of plays close to the line of scrimmage. The few names I want to go over, we got Shyheim Brown. He's probably the leader within the defensive back room overall. Senior, made a lot of plays for FSU, a lot of veteran wisdom. He's going to be a guy that we count on as far as guiding the secondary and being the leader within the secondary as a whole. Earl Little Jr. This kid has tons of potential, man. There's been a lot of buzz about Earl Little leading out. Well, excellent spring practice, summer workouts leading to fall camp. Tony White is very high on him, speaks very highly of him. Of course, Mike Norvell as well, too. So we're speaking about Earl Little. He transferred in from Alabama last year, and we want things to kind of happen right away, right? It didn't happen that way with Earl. He struggled a little bit, had to get adjusted. ended up playing him at nickel, a little bit of cornerback. The tail end of the season, FSU tried him out as safety, and Earl started to flourish. He started making plays left and right, and that confidence, and I guess you could say that confidence and that momentum he had from the end of the season, he carried over to spring practice, and he's been lights out. Earl has been tearing things up, man. I really think he's going to be a menace. Hell, Mike Norvell even chose Earl Little, one of the few FSU players in regards to going to FSU Media Day. So that's a really big thing. He ended up taking Thomas Castellano, Earl Little. My apologies. Daryl Jackson, and then we also had offensive linemen from FSU that ended up going over. Richard Leonard III, the offensive guard. So those are the four guys we had go to Charlotte for the ACC Media Day. Earl was involved, so that shows you the confidence FSU has in for this upcoming season. Another player I'm excited about, and probably I guess you could say he may have been the most exciting player in the secondary last year. In the limited reps he played, every time he stepped on the field, it was a big spark, big energy. He made a big play, whether it was a pass breakup, an interception, or a big hit, and he had excitement. The energy he brought was contagious. It helped out. Even in the 2-10 season, others fed off it, and I think this year it's going to be maximized to a higher percentage due to him being on the field more. And that's Edwin Joseph, defensive back from South Florida. I'm really excited about this kid, man. The safety can make a lot of plays, big time playmaker, and he has a lot of passion behind the game of football. I feel like those three will be battling for. I think those three are the first in line, so to speak, to start for FSU at the safety position. Now, these next few safeties we're going to talk about, I think these guys are trying to go in the fall camp and make their stamp in regards to game playing time. Hell, could possibly compete for a starting job as well. This first thing I want to speak about was kind of interesting in regards to him not in the transfer portal and leaving, just to be quite honest. That's Conrad Hussey. He had a tough sophomore year after a very stellar and promising freshman year. Things just didn't work out. Now, it could be a combination of, and I think this could have been one of the reasons why he stayed. I'm speculating on this. This isn't inside information or anything like that. I think it was more so just the change in scheme, right? Going from Alan Fuller defense to Tony White defense and what it could do for him. I think it made Conrad Hussey want to stick around and try to see what he could do within his new defense. This kid is ultra talented. I was very high on him coming out, and he made his stamp and mark within his true freshman year. I'm explosive, make big time plays. Again, now it's time to we got to flush those old tapes. 2024 is out the window. Everyone starts with a fresh new slate. You have a new defensive staff. Now we can see what you can do. So, of course, what Conrad Hussey did last year doesn't matter at all. It's what he does this year moving forward in camp. And I'm excited to see what he could do from a potential standpoint. He has a lot of potential. All right, KJ Kirkland is another safety that was in the Conrad Hussey's class, 6'1", 204 pounds out of range. Jacksonville, Florida, was in the back of row for FSU. Looks to build upon. I like KJ Kirkland a lot. Was a redshirt freshman last year. Played a lot of football. I think he could be a good football player for FSU. Ashlynd Barker, man, this kid, he passes the eye test in that 6'3", 20 to 16 pounds. I often wondered to myself, how come this kid wasn't getting more playing time at FSU due to his frame and things like that? And the limited reps he made, he stood out and made some plays for FSU. He will have his chance to compete this year for an opportunity within the secondary. And last but not least, this is a true freshman that we had that has enrolled at FSU, Max Redmon from Palm Beach. Very versatile defensive back, very athletic. He will be competing, like I said, with the other true freshmen that enrolled on the cornerback position for playing time for FSU. And I really like what we have rather in the defensive back room from a coaching standpoint. Of course, Patrick Surtain has the corners, but we hired Evan Cooper to take over the safety position. Cooper was previously at the University of Nebraska with the coaching staff that's on staff. He also coached with the Carolina Panthers, man. This is from South Florida. I like what Cooper brings to the table. He's a hell of a recruiter, a very good coach that knows how to relate to the players. All right, guys, there it is. That's what that we had. I'm sorry, there it is. We're going to wrap up the preseason positional breakdowns. Next time you guys hear from me, we're going to be talking about fall camp, right? Practice has started. We're going to get into the particulars on that and try to see who's doing what and who's standing out on fall camp and what FSU needs to do. I guess in preparation for the big time Alabama game. And speaking of the Alabama game, if you guys have not grabbed your tailgate ticket as of yet, I don't know what the hell you're doing. Grab your tailgate ticket if you plan to be in Tallahassee for the big time home opener against the Alabama Crimson Tide. It's going to be a star-studded event as far as former FSU players. Hell, even Alabama players, former FSU Alabama players, will be in the building as well. You guys know how we do it on lot night, on top of lot 19. Me and James Coleman partnered up with FSU legend Peter Ward. It's going to be a star-studded event, like I stated. Grab your ticket, $65. All you can eat, all you can drink, TV streaming the games. What more do you want? But again, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe as well too. Next time you hear from me, we're going to be talking about fall camp. Football is back, baby. Go Noles.